Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Sideline Access Podcast, where I am your host. Today, I have a very special guest. We are here with Josh Moore. He is a former D1 football athlete and now a current content creator. So, Josh, do you want to kind of give a little introduction of yourself?
Yeah, of course. My name is Joshua Moore from Atlanta, Georgia. I play college football at California, Los Angeles, UCLA, and Florida Atlantic University. Currently still live in Florida, and I just really started making content creation when I got to college back in 2021, and just kept doing it since then.
Awesome. And I feel like I was kind of thinking about this earlier. This is like such a full like circle moment because it's crazy because I knew Josh. Well, we didn't really know each other, but we went to middle school together. And I was just thinking like that was like 10, 11 years ago. And who would have thought that we would have been here today and I would be sitting right here asking you questions about your life and how you got into content creation and stuff. So I'm just really thankful that you agreed to come on and I think we're gonna have a fun conversation. I have a lot of cool topics to cover with you. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I kind of want to start first, like just asking about your journey to college football. So did you always know you wanted to play college football, or did it just happen?
Yeah, so I always did want to play, because I grew up watching it, college football in the NFL, and I was like, I want to be able to do that. So in high school, I really tried to make the most concerted effort I could. So I'm going to Marist School in Georgia. They have a pretty good head coach, Alan Chadwick, and I knew they had like a really disciplined program, and I was like, okay, yeah, I want to play for them. And then I didn't even start my first year. Even the second year, I didn't start. I wasn't expected to play, but then some guys ahead of me got hurt, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, I'm in this thing. And then I just like kind of like balled out while I was in and made myself a spot. Like they had no choice but to play me. So just kept playing. Didn't get any offers freshman and sophomore year. But then after my junior year, I finally got some offers. So I was like, all right, bet I know I'm going to college. So after that, it was all about just picking what school I wanted to go to. And I ended up picking up UCLA just because like I kind of just wanted to be in the LA area. That's kind of what I decided. Um, and I thought it was a good school as well. And my experience there was pretty nice. Coaches were something else, but the university itself was great, honestly. Made a lot of friends, still talk to some of them. It's kind of hard to like visit them all the time because it is like literally a 5, 6 hour flight to head over to LA, but I still try to go over to LA like once a year. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience. And then I transferred into Florida Atlantic, which is also pretty coastal tropical place. It's pretty nice down here in Boca Raton, and has been a great experience. Even though like college football is a very tough thing, and you don't really get the normal student experience at all. But you're playing football, and you love to do that, so that's all you can really ask for.
And I know we have I don't know, I don't want to like say names just because I don't know, it's nothing bad, but like we had a classmate that also played or swam, or excuse me, hold on, swam at FAU. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
did you like keep in contact with him while you were there?
We hung out like once or twice because we both like basically like we had like a mutual friend we knew, and then we're like, oh shoot, I didn't know you went here. So it's kind of like interesting. Yeah, she's very nice. Hopefully she did good for the swim team. FAU doesn't publicize all of our sports like that.
Yeah.
But that's just like smaller school things, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it's always cool too, just to have at least one person, even if like you don't talk a lot, like me coming to Clemson, I knew a couple people from like the Chamblee area that went to Clemson, but I didn't know them personally. But just like to know like there's, a small piece of home here around me was kind of nice. So
Yeah.
kind of going back to your recruiting cycle, was that stressful for you or did you kind of have it figured out?
I'd say it was a little bit stressful because I was always getting calls or texts from different coaches, like, and even getting pulled out of class. So it was kind of like once that spring recruiting cycle kind of went, it was like nonstop. I was talking to different coaches, FaceTiming them, and then COVID ended up happening like in the middle of it too, which wasn't the best because I wanted to like be able to take official visits to all these different places, but didn't really get to do that. I think I only got to visit in person. I went to Duke for a camp. I did one to like South Carolina, but that was the only school that we got to go into. But it wasn't like the official visit where you see like everything, like classes, uh, party scene, stadium, workouts. You don't like you see everything on official visit, so I didn't get to do that part, which kind of sucked. But I still did it kind of on Zoom, and it was still an interesting experience. But yeah, I definitely say there was some stress in there.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique experience, something that you experience that most people in, the realm of college sports probably did not have to go through. But that kind
Yeah.
of leads, college athletics is changing a lot. And so you also entered the transfer portal. How do you feel like it's changed from when you entered it from UCLA to FAU to like now and what college athletes are going through?
So it's a lot more normalized now. Like it kind of started back when I did go in, but now or I guess I'd say now there's a lot more tampering probably because like back then I remember like if you want to get in contact with a school, you had to get into the portal first. Like they wouldn't like talk to you versus now it's like, hey, we want you to come here. We're willing to give you this much before you even get into the portal. And plus it's a lot more monetized now because back then like UCLA didn't pay you anything besides like your scholarship your scholarship and like your guaranteed money like you get like $500 a month to like do whatever you wanted with, but now it's like you give all this NIL money on top of it, which like just wasn't there back then. Also some of it was the school because I know the coach back then at UCLA just didn't want to pay guys at all even if other schools were starting to pay people. So that was big difference from then to now, like 4 years, what a difference that makes. Now it's just like kind of like the Wild West. You can do whatever you want as an athlete, really.
And do you think that there should be like, or what's your opinion? Because I personally, I feel like athletes should be getting paid in college. Like, I think that's definitely, you're being monetized off of your name, and a lot of schools are making a lot of money because of you. So I feel like you should get a cut on that. And I think a lot of people agree, but I think kind of the big question that people are wondering now is, should there be a cutoff of how much you can make? What is your thoughts on that?
Um, I think college athletes definitely should be getting paid based on like their market value. I have no issue with that whatsoever. I do kind of think that like it turns some schools, like a smaller school like FAU or like North Texas or like a Georgia State into like feeder schools though, because if you have a good player that comes there or just someone that like comes out of high school, starts and has a great season, they're immediately going to be gone somewhere else. So it almost has to be a system where like bigger schools pay buyouts to smaller schools so they can like up their program and get make money from it, kind of like how in like the Premier League, if you have a player in the second or third division and he does really well, Chelsea or Manchester United can just like pay the big turn to some like to like a hierarchy kind of like that. I think that's the only way to make it really sustainable because anytime you have somebody that's good, where it's a coach or a player, they're immediately going to leave all the small programs after like a year or two, and then they're kind of just those programs are left in the dust. So that kind of sucks, but it just has to be like a couple rules like instituted. Because right now I literally don't think there's any rules. Like even if a school doesn't want to let you enter the portal, you can still just unenroll from the school and enroll in another school. Like that's actually happened to somebody before. So it's like there has to be some kind of guideline.
Yeah, there's just not like a lot of regulation on it, I think. And that's it, there's a lot of confusion with it because all different schools are treating it differently. And just, like you said, I think there just kind of needs to be more of like a cushion of like, this is the standard and this is what we should go by with it. Um,
Yeah.
but I think another kind of concern with it is, and like you have like a financial background, right? What did you major in college?
I just made it in business economics.
Business economics. Okay. I knew there was something about finance in there. So, kind of going off of that and what you know and your knowledge in economics, do you feel like, and I guess also too, being an athlete, did you kind of feel like there should have been more help, I guess, with athletes about how to manage money, maybe like financial classes or literacy classes that athletes in college are, required to take? Just because I feel like you're young and then you're coming in and then all of a sudden you're making all this money, but who's teaching you how to save it or how to spend it or invest it?
Yeah, so if any colleges aren't doing that now, that definitely should be a thing, whether it's like university mandated or just team mandated, because just with the amount of money guys are making, you don't want to end up like the NFL players that like made 20, $50 million in their career and end up broke a couple years later. And I think guys are starting to get more wise to like being financially literate, at least the top tier athletes, because they have a lot of people around them. But also, I know some guys are probably also getting taken advantage of. Like there's some agents that are taking 40, 50% cuts of these NIL deals. You don't know who it is exactly, but that is what's happening. Like some guys are getting taken advantage of. So I hope colleges are instituting some things like that. And I hope that the players are really receptive to it because that's what really matters. Because like it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep. That's just like a big thing, like no matter what like income bracket you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And two, I feel like kind of going back to the portal, I think sometimes the scary part is that I think some athletes are choosing pay over how much they're getting played. You get what I mean? And so, and that's a big, I guess, kind of where things are changing now. It's no longer, in my opinion, I feel like sometimes it's no longer about the game or the sport itself. It's about where can I go and make the most money. But the thing is that money's not always going to last forever, especially if you don't utilize it correctly, or if you're, not getting as much playing time to maximize the value that you could bring to another team, or when it comes to if you want to put your name in the draft, what else, And so I just think I just kind of feel like maybe if we had more of I don't know, just kind of bringing back that feeling of this is about playing.
Yeah, yeah. I know some guys are definitely like taking more money to get less reps at some schools, and some guys are even will go from a G5 school, transfer up to a P4 school, not play at all. Maybe they got paid some and then transfer back down, and it's literally the Wild West. Like I make videos about like a lot of like the big transfers. Like there's this one guy who's transferred 6 times and he's at his seventh school in 5 years. And it's just like at a certain point, when are we like, okay, enough's enough? It's not always like a terrible situation at the school. Like you're just leaving because for whatever reason, I don't even know at this point. Like you started this school, like why don't you just stay there? Like you started, had a great year, and you've never replicated that in any of your other 6 years or any of your other six schools. So it's just like it's just interesting what guys choose to do. And but unless there's like some rules like, hey, you can only transfer 2 or 3 total times, that's gonna keep happening. Because some guys are gonna be like, oh, yeah, I got some phantom injury, I need another year of eligibility. And they're gonna sue for another year of eligibility. It's just gonna keep happening.
You touched on your content creation again in the videos that you make. How did you get into that?
It honestly just started like when I did go to LA. I just had some teammates that already made TikToks. And I was like, I want to make them, but I don't want to make like the dance videos and what they were kind of making. So I was like, okay, let me just find my own lane. And so I just started making football skits. And it was like that for like a while, just doing skits, just kind of for fun. And then eventually I started making like some money with it because like they have like creator rewards programs and stuff like that. Didn't pay that much at the time, but like it grew a lot more because they started wanting different types of videos, like 1 minute plus type videos where you're actually like storytelling and stuff like that. So I started doing a lot more of that. And then get some brand deals sometimes, go sometimes like trips to like different events. So I just kind of just stay consistent with it. Like I'm not the biggest creator follower wise or even likes wise or anything like that, but I just stay as consistent as I can.
Yeah, consistency, I think, is really what opens doors. It's, of course, growing when when you're putting out content, always thinking about how can I do better? How can I maximize the amount of views and likes that I'm getting? And then also, too, just being consistent. So, how do you find like the topics that you want to cover, especially on such a consistent basis like that?
Well, I'm always like on Twitter looking at different topics. I just stay in tune with everything NFL and college football big that happens. I still don't even get it all right. Like some topics, I'm like, dang, I wish I made a video about that, but now it's like 2 days too late because as soon as I'll see some news and I'm like, it's not that big of a news. But then I'll see another creator make something about it. I'm like, that he did it in a really good way. And he framed it a really good way. He told a really good story, and that's why it did so well. So it's just like I'm always still like learning, but I just kind of talk about whatever I want, whether it's transfer portal, what teams I think are good, game recap, kind of just like whatever.
Yeah. And I guess with your research that you've been doing and keeping up with athletes and also your own personal experience, where do you feel athletes struggle most? It could be anything.
Um, I'd probably say like time management, just because they're expected to be a student, an athlete, and a brand now at this time. So it's just like there's just a lot going on. And speaking from experience, like the athlete part takes up way more of your time than the student part. It's just like kind of a fact of life. And some guys probably take easier classes because of that. And they're like, hey, I want to take an easy major so I can just play football and not have to worry about it. But then you have to think like long term, like, hey, so like as that major, and I kind of wish more athletes were like maybe economics or finance majors. So it's like they could really like understand what they're doing and like now with NIL, like how to like maximize whatever kind of money they are getting. Plus there's like a good industry, like economics and finance is a good industry to be in. Well, kind of depends on your school, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I just wish athletes were doing a lot more majors that are like intellectually like stimulating. Like
Yeah.
I had one teammate that he started out as engineering. He did that for like 2.5 years. He decided to switch to something easier because he's just like, I can't manage it. And that's like a 5 year degree. And I'm like, I get it, but like, man, bro, you'd have done so well as an engineer. Plus, like you have a good head on your shoulders. So I know you could have been successful at it and made a ton of money. But it's really tough to like do those challenging majors. Like you don't see many athletes that are like pre-med or like, thinking about law school. Like I had another teammate at UCLA. He went to Stanford for undergrad and he was at UCLA with us for his like last year and he was in law school. So I'm like, yeah, he's like really good head on his shoulder. He's a really smart guy to do that. But most athletes wouldn't because they'd be like, no, law school's hard, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like it's no longer just this like a college sport. It was always a business, but it's become even more a business nowadays, and it's involving the athletes too. At first, it was kind of just like between schools and divisions and everything where that business realm was, but now you're putting athletes in the mix and they're becoming part of the conversation. And so now that they're part of that conversation, they have so much more to think about because you never know where life is going to take you, right? And so it's
Yeah.
always good to have that backup plan. And so it looks like that's what you did with business economics. How has that kind of helped you through life?
It's just helped me well, it was tough like getting like an initial job out of college. I will say that just because in finance, it's a very concentrated industry. Like they like to get grads from like Harvard, Yale, Penn, UCLA, stuff like that. And I didn't graduate from UCLA, so I'm like, kind of screwed myself there. But I just kept trying. And eventually like the company I work at now, they found me because I did have an economics degree and I was good at social media and they were looking for an economic person to do like their social media. So I started doing that and that was just kind of ended up being like a perfect fit. Like I know it's like it's not always realistic. Like a recruiter will hit you up like, "Hey, you're the exact kind of person we're looking for this job." But that's just kind of what I got, and that's why I would say like anyway, if you have any kind of special skills, just like keep honing them. You never know when you might use them or when your skills and like what you want to do might intersect at something. So yeah, kind of got lucky there, but it's been a great opportunity. I've been working there for like 5 or 6 months now.
Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Of
Thank you.
course. And so I kind of want to circle to a topic where the reason I started this podcast was kind of because I wanted to shed light on athletes and people that work in sports, not just athletes, but about the character that they are away from the field or away from their careers, because a lot of people look at athletes and people that work in it as just like, oh, this is just this cool job. Like, I wish I was them, you know what I mean? But there's so much more behind the person. People get wrapped up in stats or how much money you can bring or if they're betting on you. And so I kind of want to ask you when not even just as an athlete, but even now, like, was there any mental health challenges that you've had to face or that you've seen in others? And do you think there's a stigma about like opening up about that in the realm of sports?
Yeah, it's definitely less stigmatized than it used to be. I know like some players like approach some things the wrong way. Like I remember there's a story about an Ole Miss player who just like kind of ghosted the team, and Lane Kiffin was super mad because he's like, dude, you can't just disappear for 3 weeks and decide to come back when you're ready. Like we've been calling and texting you, you can't do that. And he was kind of telling the guy like, you're not the kind of guy we want on this team anymore. But like if you had talked to us and communicated with us like what you needed, we would have been able to help you.
Yeah.
So it's just like now I think if you tell your coach that, they'll like there's probably like a mental health person on staff, at least somewhere in the athletic department that can like help you do some certain things. And I know at bigger schools they have probably sports psychologists too, where like if you're dealing with something like the yips, like they try to help you out, help you get out of that. So people definitely understand it a lot more now. I still know like some position coaches, they're like, this is something else I have to deal with because they're just thinking about how to win the most games. It just that's like when you're getting recruited, you have to make sure you get a coach that like and play for a coach that actually cares about you versus just like what you bring.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that's layered in recruiting that I suggest parents and players to pay attention to.
Yeah. And what is some other advice that you think you'd want to leave with people that are going through the recruiting process right now?
Just be yourself. And it sounds cliche, and the coaches will probably say this to you a lot, but just like try to find the right fit. Like if you get an offer from Texas, you get an offer from TCU, Texas might offer more money. Texas might be a great place to play, great atmosphere, but TCU could be the better fit for you. TCU is a smaller school. Maybe you're a devout Christian, you want to go to the Christian school. Those are two different like playing fields, but TCU might be a better fit for you, or Baylor might be a better fit for you than a Texas. So like finding that fit where like you feel like kind of like whole at a university will make your college experience better, probably make you play better because you won't be worried about as many outside factors, and you could still get a good education at those other schools. So it's really just about like what school is best for you, whether not just like the brand name of the school, because you might think you love Texas and realize, no, I hate it here and leave after a semester. So it's interesting how that works out.
Hmm. What do you think is something that you wish you did differently in your process?
Uh, kind of wish I was born like 2 or 3 years later so I could have capitalized a lot more on it.
Yeah.
But definitely, or if COVID didn't happen, that'd be nice. But I kind of wish that like I just like paid the money out of pocket and just like visited some of the schools in person to see what they were like. Because I know like you weren't back then, you weren't officially sanctioned or allowed to like go to those schools and talk to the coaches. But I know like if I went to Iowa State and text the coach, "Hey, I'm here for the weekend," he would have been like, he would have found a way to be like, "All right, yeah, Josh is here. Let's do something, even if it was like off the books or whatever." But now it's like, hopefully, if no COVID ever happens again, you don't have to ever think about that. But a player nowadays would be like, okay, let me make sure we visit all the schools that we want to hit and even visit twice if you need to, or visit like more schools than you think you need to. So you can really get a sense of what kind of school you want to be at, what kind of coach you want to be at, facilities wise. Look at like whoever the donors and boosters are, because if they like you, they can hit you with bigger NIL deal once you start performing, stuff like that. That's probably the only thing I'd change. But again, like I'm pretty happy where I'm at now. So I guess if I don't change anything, I'd still be good where I'm at.
Absolutely. I kind of take the take of I feel like everything happens for a reason and everything that happens kind of leads you to where you are today. And seems like you're in a really good place. So that's always good to see. And then kind of last question on the, realm of recruiting and transferring and everything. We've seen a lot of athletes in the portal right now, and there's still a lot that are still there. Where do you think people go wrong when entering the portal?
I think some people always think the grass is greener, like they're gonna get a bigger deal or another school is gonna notice them that's maybe higher up in their mind. But I think the portal really should only be used like if you like have a deal like kind of like this is kind of gets into tampering territory. If you have a deal locked down, like you're at a small school and a big school wants to come get you, you enter the portal and immediately go to that school. Fine, that works. But if you're just like a D3 guy that's trying to just enter the portal, unless like you're like an all-American, it's gonna be really hard to like sit there and like wait out for like a big like a Michigan to come get you. Whereas like if a North Texas offers you, you're like, yo, you should go. So I think some guys try to like hold out for their best offers, but then once guys start committing, then like those offers that you might have thought you had start disappearing. And that's why probably thousands of players every year just like realize they hit the portal and realize, oh shoot, I'm screwed. And they try to go back to their old school and they're like, no, we filled your spot already. So it's still like just like it's a guessing game. And I'd suggest that players only hit the portal if you're absolutely sure, like you're like, I can't play here. I'd be good never playing football again rather than playing back here again. If it's something like that, then yeah, go ahead and enter. You have nothing to lose at that point. But if it's like you have a good thing going, you're getting paid, you hit that portal, so they might get another guy that's cheaper than you that may be comparable to you and decide to let you go.
Thank you so much for your time. One last question for all the people watching. If you could leave one piece of advice with them, it could be athlete related, anything, what would it be?
Uh, I guess I just say like be yourself. just because like no matter what you're doing, like you don't want to try to like hold up a character or someone that you're not, because eventually that's probably gonna fall apart. But whether you're talking to CEOs or making friends in the locker room, just be yourself. You're always gonna end up finding your crowd eventually. And once you have those core sets of people, then those are you'll know those are true friends, and you'll be able to trust them with anything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This wraps up our episode. Please be sure to stay tuned for their next episode. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, if you or anyone else you know would like to be a part of this podcast, feel free to email me at the email linked down below and check out Josh's Instagram, TikTok, all of that will be linked as well. So thank you again.